In the early days of the startup, I think there's probably really smart people like you. You have a lot of options.
Mm-hmm.
You can stay in academia. You can work at companies,
Mm-hmm.
have high up position in companies, working on super interesting projects.
Yeah. I mean, that's why all founders are deluded, in the beginning at least. Like if you actually rolled out model-based RL, if you actually rolled out scenarios, most of the branches, you would conclude that it's going to be failure. There is a scene in the Avengers movie where this guy uh, comes and says, like, out of 1 million possibilities, like I found like one path where we could survive. That's kind of how startups are.
Yeah, to this day, it's one of the things I really regret about my life trajectory is I haven't done much building. I would like to do more building than talking.
I remember watching your very early podcast with Eric Schmidt. It was done like, when I was a PhD student in Berkeley, where
I
you would
remember.
just keep digging him. The final part of the podcast was like, uh, tell me what does it take to start the next Google?
Hmm.
Because I was like, oh, look at this guy who was asking the same questions
Yeah.
I would like to ask.
Well, thank you for remembering that. Wow, that's a beautiful moment that you remember that. I, of course, remember it in my own heart. And in that way, you've been an inspiration to me because I still, to this day, would like to do a startup because I have, in the way you've been obsessed about search, I've also been obsessed my whole life about human robot interaction.
Hmm.
It's about robots.
Interestingly, Larry Page comes from that background,
Hmm.
human computer interaction. Like that's what helped him arrive at new insights to search than like people who are just working on NLP. So that I think that's another thing I realized, that new insights and people who are able to make new connections are uh like likely to be a good founder too.
Yeah, I mean that combination of a passion of a particular towards a particular thing and this new, fresh perspective.
Yeah,
But it's there's a sacrifice to it. There's a pain to it that
it'd be worth it. At least, there's this minimal regret framework of Bezos that says at least when you die, you would die with the feeling that you tried.
well, in that way, you, my friend, have been an inspiration. So
Thank you.
thank you for doing that. Thank you for doing that for young kids like myself, and others listening to this. You also mentioned the value of hard work, especially when you're younger,
Hmm.
like in your 20s.
Yeah,
So, can you speak to that? What's advice you would give to a young person
yeah.
about like work-life balance kind of situation?
By the way, this goes into the whole like what do you really want, right? Some people don't want to work hard, and I don't want to like make any point here that says a life where you don't work hard is meaningless. I don't think that's true either. Um, but if there is a certain idea that really just occupies your mind all the time, it's worth making your life about that idea and living for it, at least in your late teens and early 20s, mid 20s, because that's the time when you get, that decade or like that 10,000 hours of practice on something that can be channelized into something else later. And it's really worth doing that.
Also, there's a physical, mental aspect. Like you said, you can stay up all night. You can pull all-nighters,
Yeah.
like multiple all-nighter. I can still do that. I still, I'll still pass out sleeping on the floor
Uh-huh.
in the morning under the desk. I still can do that. But yes, it's easier to do when you're younger.
Yeah, you can work incredibly hard, and if there's anything I regret about my earlier years, is that there were at least few weekends where I just literally watched YouTube videos and did nothing. And like,
Yeah, use your time. Use your time
yeah,
wisely when you're young, because yeah, that's planting a seed that's going to grow into something big if you plant that seed early on in
yeah,
your life. Yeah, yeah, that's really valuable time, especially like the education system early on. You get to like explore.
exactly.
It's like freedom to really, really
Yeah,
explore.
and hang out with a lot of people who are driving you to be better
Mhm.
and guiding you to be better, not necessarily people who are Oh yeah, what's the point doing this?
Oh yeah, no
Yeah.
empathy. Just people who are extremely passionate about whatever. It
I
doesn't
mean,
matter
I
what it is.
remember when I told people I'm going to do a PhD, most people said PhD is a waste of time. If you go work at Google, after you complete your undergraduate, you'll start off with a salary like 150K or something,
Mhm.
but at the end of 4 or 5 years, you would progress to like a senior or staff level and be earning like a lot more. And instead, if you finish your PhD and join Google, you would start 5 years later at the entry level salary. What's the point? But they viewed life like that. Little they realize that no, like you're not, you're optimizing with a discount factor that's like equal to one, or not like discount factor that's close to zero.
Yeah, I think you have to surround yourself by people. It doesn't matter what walk of life. I have, we're in Texas. I hang out with people that, for a living, make barbecue,
Hmm.
and those guys, the passion they have for it, it's like generational. That's their whole life. They stay up all night. Means all they do is
Yeah.
is cook barbecue, and it's all they talk about, and that's all
So
they
that's the
love.
obsession part. And
Yeah.
but Mr. Beast doesn't do like AI or math, but he's obsessed and he worked hard to get to where he is.
Mhm.
And I watched YouTube videos of him saying how like all day he would just hang out and analyze YouTube videos, like watch patterns of what makes the views go up and study, study, study. That's the 10,000 hours of practice. Messi has this quote, right? That, or maybe it's falsely attributed to him. This is internet; you can't believe what you read. But I became I worked for decades to become an overnight hero or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that Messi is your favorite.
No, I like Ronaldo,
Well,
but not.
wow. That's the first thing you said today that I would just deeply disagree with.
Let
No.
me caveat by saying that I think Messi is the goat,
Hmm.
and I think Messi is way more talented. But I like Ronaldo's journey.
The human and the journey that
Yeah,
you
I
that
I
captivated
like
your
his
heart.
vulnerability, his openness about wanting to be the best. Like the human who came closest to Messi
Mm.
is actually an achievement, considering Messi is pretty supernatural.
Yeah, he's not from this planet for
Yeah.
sure.
Similarly, like in tennis, there's another example, Novak Djokovic.
Mhm.
Controversial, not as liked as Federer or Nadal. Actually, ended up beating them. Like he's, objectively the goat, and did that like by not starting off as the best.
So you like the underdog. I mean, your own story has elements of that.
Yeah, it's more relatable. You can derive more inspiration. Like there are some people you just admire, but not really can get inspiration from them. And there are some people you can clearly like connect dots to yourself and try to work towards that.